Ladies and gentlemen, it is finally happening. I have been campaigning for this, and by campaigning I mean it's sort of a bit of like a supervillain hobby of mine, but okay, here's the deal. We're going to make Minnesota bigger. All right? And we're going to do that because I and Chris have been on tour, all over, like both of us between all the bands we've ever been in have been everywhere fucking at least 5 times. And nothing has compelled me to move. I could have moved many times. I'm like, you get older, you don't have all these, so many friends. Like me and Alexis's skills are pretty transferable. And never, it's like, Colorado's kind of cool. Like, I don't know. It's like her parents moved to Portugal. We're going to visit them. I'm sure that, living in Europe would be kind of awesome, particularly there or whatever. Yeah. All that. But really, I could have moved to Texas. I could have moved to New York. I could have moved to, maybe the Reno, Nevada or somewhere. Like, there's like cool places out there. But you know what? They all, especially now, they all just aren't Minnesota. Minnesota feels safe. Yeah. Minnesota feels holy if you're a lunatic. And I think that the best thing we could do is, whether people want it or not, share that with the rest of the country and perhaps the rest of the world. Yeah. When we go from Minnesota to Megasoda. Yep. And I'm going to go ahead and take credit for Tim Walz getting picked as the potential vice presidential candidate or whatever. Well, he's the candidate, but, if they win. Yeah. Potential vice president. I said on this actual podcast, I think like 3 years ago, that I want Walz Ventura to just be both of them. Jesse Ventura and Tim Walz just run for president and just fuck. Because I knew everything that's happening right now where Tim Walz is just shutting people down and just sass-mouthing people till they suck him off. Like, we all knew that here in Minnesota. Yeah. We already, he's that kind of guy that is just like that. And I'm like, I want that for everywhere, so I can finally feel safe and secure. Like, I can visit Texas because it's also Minnesota. I could go to San Antonio for a fine, homemade, family-owned burrito or whatever, but also have an abortion because Minnesota's there. Yeah.
Well, I think the first one is North Dakota has to be Taiwan. They got it. That's the first down.
They pose a threat, to us.
Take all the oil. Mm-hmm. Privatize that. We kind of. We make that part of Minnesota, but then the first little bit is like kind of North Dakota's like our little like Venezuela.
Yeah. We just sort of annex them, see if anyone notices or cares. A lot of people are even like, were these ever 2 different states? Yeah. Like I thought it was just Dakota. There's a North Dakota. It's like, well, there's just a Dakota and a Minnesota. The Minnesota's a little bigger though, isn't it?
Dakota soda.
Yeah, Dakota soda. That was Dakota soda. We're basically like the Venom symbiote from the Spider-Man comics, slowly absorbing with our amoeba pseudopods the other states around us. Yeah. By the way, that's easy pickings. Yeah. That's just like, I've always said that like Wisconsin is exactly like, it's almost like it's the same. If Minnesota and Wisconsin were people, they'd be the same person, except for just Wisconsin would be Minnesota, but after like 5 years after a really bad divorce, it's gained a bunch of weight, drinks way too much. We drink here. It gets cold. We booze it up. I know a lot of people, like Chris has never drank. A lot of my friends are quitting the sauce, but me, my dad, and my grandpa, it's like we're getting buried with a bottle of wild turkey. Like, it's not, no, we're not stopping. And Wisconsin takes that to where it's like, I'm concerned, which is amazing. Yeah. But we'll clean them up. We'll get them back on track. We'll get them out on the dating scene again. It's like, you're divorced, you lost the house. But that's fine. They can work for our friend Jake's stump grinding company, and they'll just get paid in weed, and they can just shoot guns out in the middle of nowhere. It's like, dude, Wisconsin is. I feel like Wisconsin is our chuddy.
Yeah, I feel like it's literally like it's almost like a trailer park that's just one giant suburb of Chicago.
The eastern chunk of it is for sure. Yeah. Milwaukee is just this like. Yeah.
Oh, Chicago's stinky little armpit.
Chicago is just backyard where it lets its just out of control dogs shit everywhere. It's like that's God, Milwaukee. It's like it's the famous part of like Wisconsin. Also, the skinhead problem that they have over there. Kenosha's the worst, which is hilarious because that's where like
isn't that where Kyle Rittenhouse
oh, what a coincidence. I mean, it also does happen to be where...
That might have been a thing that happened in Kenosha.
It was.
Yeah.
Also, a couple of things happened in Kenosha. Well, one, that 70s show supposedly takes place there, but, Red Foreman was Clarence Boddicker, so maybe. But in the original Death Race 2000, the 1975 movie starring David Carradine, where he plays Frankenstein, which that movie has a lot of... if you're an SMB fan, there's a lot of samples from that. David Carradine, he's like, why do you love me? Because I kill people. Like, just, awesome. Yep. Unused, you know what I mean? Like, bands have overused a lot of, like, Fear Factory's just, overused everything from Full Metal Jacket. But there's a car in Death Race 2000 that's like the fucking Valkyrie swastika Nazi car. And they're just like, hailing from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Like, they didn't just throw a dart at a map. They knew what they were talking about. Because SMB played in Kenosha. Well, we played in Milwaukee. There's some stories with that, but we played like on a smaller show, not with a bigger band, in Kenosha. And the venue decided at the last minute that the show couldn't be all ages. It was like it was a bar, but kind of a nice stage. So there's like 150 like MSI Hot Topic kids that were like, well, you gotta go home. So the guys that set it up canceled the show and were like, we'll have a house party show. And there was this house full of metal guys, and they had all these Iron Maiden posters up. And we have a show in their basement. We played in the basement. I went outside, and there's these big fat bald guys with beards. We know lots of them. Lovable guys. They all have cats. Yeah. No. One dude, like, it was like hot and sticky and gross out. He takes his shirt off and just Iron Eagle fucking white power. I'm like, I literally like went backwards, like, hey, we gotta go, we gotta leave.
Yeah, we're out.
It turns out, big fucking skinhead punk, like, their band that they had was like, we like went and like looked them up on like MySpace or mp3.com, was just a full like weird, and this was like 2006 or 7, it was like not as much, there was no Blue Lives Matters, but all their shit was it was like the proto, clearly Swazis and like pro like cop weird, like just that was their punk band was like, punk bands are like, fuck the system, man, and they're like, let's suck the system's dick and get rid of the Jews. Like, whoa, Jesus, guys, no. And so and it was all that stuff. That's only by the way, my two pieces of evidence is the 1975 movie Death Race 2000 and my own experience at a skinhead party house. But I think that's enough to go. That part of Wisconsin has a Nazi problem.
Two interesting things about
we're gonna go in there and stop it.
One, if you guys played in Kenosha in 2006, that timeline would actually get really close to matching up of one of those guys being Kyle Rittenhouse's father. Which is... That's
I've got no evidence to the contrary, my friend.
That's like the fucking...
Because those guys, I think, were older than us. Like, we were, 26 or 7 or whatever, and it's like, these guys were rough.
Also,
they'd been around.
Can I tell you, Kyle Rittenhouse is one of my favorite subjects to talk about with right-wingers. It's so fun. Because...
that little Pillsbury Doughboy puke. Yeah.
Well, I always just, my thing is, I was having a conversation with somebody and called Kyle Rittenhouse a retard, which I know that's not nice to do, and I get it, whatever.
He is, though. I mean, that's the problem.
He is. And
someone with Down syndrome who's aware of what's going on with that would just be like, yeah. Like, guy's a fucking retard. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah.
Well, but the reason I love is you could insert any insult there, but the point is, I use that insult and it's like, well, what he did was totally legal. It was it's like, nobody said it wasn't. I just said he's a retard.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
It's not like I think I told you. It's like Corky from Life Goes On isn't a criminal. He's just retarded.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and that's okay. But
he never drove across a state line to go defend a building that's insured by just shooting an AR-15 all over the place. And he's 17 years old and has
and so then I got called out though for saying it's like. Oh, so no, it's okay to just call people retards. It's like, that's what you guys are fighting for the right to do every day, is to not have to not say retard or call people pussy or use gendered language or what I mean?
Yeah, you guys hate all that. Yeah. Oh, is there some kind of ironic hypocrisy on that side of the aisle? I wouldn't,
But I love because if you just call him a fucking moron or just be like, yeah, he's just the biggest fucking just complete idiot you've ever met. And it's like you just watch him get so mad because they want to say that what you're saying is that what he did should have been illegal, and it's like, yeah, maybe, but no, that's not what I'm just saying that he's just a moron. He's just a fucking low IQ, small dick little.
Well, you know what you discovered?
What's
you know what the amazing thing you discovered with that is?
What's that?
Is that the calling all of those folks in general weird.
Yeah.
Caught on. Because it's not like, you guys are fascists. It's like, ooh, the Hugo Boss, cool logos. It's like a little fun. Like, oh, we took the Ark of the Covenant. You know, it's like, yeah, it's a little fun. You don't want to really be called that, but it's a little fun. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we made Volkswagen. Like, yeah. It's like, you're an asshole. It's like, that's right. I tell it. It's like, you're fucking weird. They're like, no, like, that's what, and you know, where did that come from? But Minnesota. That's right. They picked our governor to run as vice president because he came up with just this like kryptonite. It's like you're just like, you guys are fucking weird, and then it's one of two things. It's either no or not, or they go like, well, you're weird because and they just end up seeming more weird. But it doesn't make him sound tough, and that's what you were doing. It's like, dude, that guy's just like, Kyle Rittenhouse is fucking retarded. It's like, well. And they're just like, for one, you're not supposed to say that. It's like, what, according to you? It's like, no, I think you should. It's like, what, say Kyle Rittenhouse retarded? No, I mean, you could say retarded, not him, you know, it's fun. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
You nailed it.
So fun.
Like, yeah.
It's so fucking fun.
And it's like, that wouldn't work on me. It'd just be like, Kamala Harris is retarded. It's like, I don't know.
Well, it's like we were talking.
Well, do you think she's not? I'm like, I mean... She's like a DA, like, probably not. I don't know, like, is it a good idea? Like, who can say? But I definitely know that she probably doesn't have tertiary syphilis yet. Like, you know, it's like maybe, remember when you were like, that one guy's too old, now your guy's too old. What do you got now? Oh, nothing.
Well,
like,
I mean, we were kind of talking off the air, too, a little bit, which we can dive into this if you want, but just that, like, you know, Tim Walz obviously like actually does have a fair amount of ties to China. I'm not in any way insinuating anything.
Well, why not? Well, why not?
But he did teach in China, which okay, fine. But
actually, I have a lot of ties to China because of work. You know how many vapes I've designed with a man in China that I've had to like work with, and when are these shipments from China coming? If I ever run for anything, there's gonna be like, you have connections to China. It's like, yeah, and probably the Mossad too. I mean, but that was just my day job. What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
it was a day job. I know. I'm friends with one of the bass player in SMB before Cass, who was also very good, but he was like went off to be a little bit more academic. His name was Graham Revden. He was on Fun with Poop and a little bit of Process of Assimilation, where riffs he wrote and stuff. Like,
wait a minute,
he taught in China though too.
Process of Assimilation was one of your guys' albums.
It was the big one. That was the one that like went.
And then there's Salty Earth too, correct?
That was the Policy of Unilateral Hate. That was a couple records later.
Oh, okay.
That was our last. That was the one we made, and we're like, this is really good, and then we gave up.
I'm on the same page with all those. So SMB had an album called Fun with Poop.
That was that very first one we made, like in someone's house for free. Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that was a thing. That is incredible.
Yeah, you should know. Hang on a second. I
didn't know about Fun with. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like,
I want to show you the album cover.
Everybody loves to have fun with poop, but
hang on. Like, because there's only one thing aside from a ton of German scat porn that's going to come up if I type this in. Let me even see if I just not put in Scream Monkey Butter how... Nah, there's too much weird shit on the internet. All right, hang on. I just have to do this.
Yeah.
Scream...
No, that's it. Like, all the stuff we're talking about, make Minnesota bigger, the DN... Like, all that stuff is second to having fun with poop. Like, since the second you said that, it's literally like, that's all I can think of.
We recorded it, it was like 99, it came out in like 2000 or whatever.
Was this when it was still Screaming Monkey Butter?
Oh, this was Screaming Monkey Butter, yeah, this was...
I like how the guy that's pooping is like literally like on a pedestal, like higher than everybody
else. Yeah,
and
they're cranking it through into shapes in the Play-Doh Fun Factory.
Yeah, and ironically, he looks like if Corky from Life Goes On had a baby with Kyle Rittenhouse.
Well, he looks a lot like he could contain a lot of poop. I'm not going to put this on the screen, but for everyone, just Google it. Scream Monkey Butter Fun with Poop. That was my friend Brett drew that.
Well, you guys were right to make that record for sure.
Oh yeah, and it was weird too. It was like it wasn't the best sounding thing, but it was like it was like we knew someone that knew how to use Pro Tools and had a couple of mics and stuff, and was able to kind of like in his bedroom. It's not the worst sounding thing. It's bad. It's bad. But in 2000, like the other local bands, it was just like you barely even tell. There was no low end or anything. It's like it had a little bit. And then, I mean, my lifelong, and sorry, this is like a weird aside. It was just important for me for everything to be like, to sound better than everything else. Like can only assume that I hope that the writing and performing was really great and everything. But then, that second one we did with Atomic K Records, that actually was like, they came out in 2004, and it was like, it sounded like a Static X record or something, like when everyone else's still sounded about maybe as good as Fun with Poop. It was like, hey, look at it. Like the kick drums, like, da-da-da-da-da-da. It's like, whoa. Like the vocals are all clear, and it was like mastered for real, and it was like,
Atomic K gone now?
Carl is probably still active in some capacity, but he got into making video game
interesting
soundtrack stuff and sound effects and various other things. So it's like I think he just like kind of followed the money. He probably doesn't like record and sign to his weird label like local bands anymore. But because you guys did something there.
Yes, In Line to Die was done at Atomic K.
Yeah, like, and Carl was a pretty good like. He's where I learned like vocal. He's like, oh yeah, do a bunch of different layers and then do this, do it in the background in a falsetto voice in this part and da 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 da. It's like it's where I to this day, I picked up things from like Andrew Thomas or Ian from River Rock.
Oh, Ian Combs.
Ian Combs. Even when I was filming a version 5 or not version 5. That's those other dudes. Fifth Hour. I was filming a thing for them, and part of it was I just like kind of like went and filmed them in the studio with them. And I've talked to Ian before. I was just like bullshitting with him while he's mixing stuff. I'm filming them doing things, and he was the one that was kind of like, I don't know why this stuck so much, but when he pans things, he's like, it's just like a light switch. He's like, it's either left, right, or center. I don't do like the weird spectrum, and I've done that kind of a bunch with what I've been working on lately, and you've been helping me with. Yeah. It actually sounds amazing to do that. You gotta pick your battles the right way. Yeah. But it's like there's two guitars, so they're over here. There's like the backing vocals are side to side. The main ones are in the middle. The kick drum's in the middle. The bass is in the middle. This is over here. There's a copy of this over there. There's a slightly different string patch on the other side. Like, and it actually like and I don't know. I won't go through all the things I've learned from various very good engineering guys that I've dealt with over the years, but it's fun. You grow up and you just get these things stick over time. But still, nevertheless, our governor, who I enjoy and I voted for, has ties to China. But what is there? Is there anything beyond he just went like a bunch of people I actually know, like Graham, to just that was part of like them being a teacher was to go teach English in China for a year or two. I actually physically know several people that have just gone and done that because it was like an opportunity. Yeah. They get paid fat money to go like live in, Hong Kong starting to get to be like cool, like Batman Hong Kong, it's like, oh, and you can, it's on your resume forever as a teacher. You taught English in China. It's like people do that shit, but what is he also like?
Yeah, but if you're a Democrat and you went there for 30 seconds, you're a Maoist.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? That's
Chairman Mao is still in charge of China, if I'm not mistaken.
It was funny though. I did see an Instagram video. I thought, fuck, I should have saved it, but that Kamala has said like a particular phrase that was kind of used in Maoist China, and I don't think it's like necessarily a Marxist phrase, but God, I wish I could remember. It was something about like the futures,
Marxist barbarians.
Yeah, it was like something about a future that's unburdened by the past.
That's a thing that a lot of people have said. Like there's, and I mean,
it's like,
I'm not saying this is a good reference, but in the man in the high castle, where we lose World War II or whatever, it's like they did when they blow up the Statue of Liberty, they reset it to Jahr Null, which is German for year zero. Like they're like history is now starting over again now that they rule like half the planet or whatever. Yeah. And like that was a big thing. It was like, like the future will be unburdened by the past. It's like But the thing is like, okay, yeah, like, you know, Chairman Mao said that, you know, the made-up Nazis and Man in the High Castle said that, but I think that's been said.
Maoist thing.
No, that's been said by people who are riling up crowds of people, I think.
Yeah.
Probably even like tribally. Like probably people in some part of the world that barely, it's like underwater now.
Yeah.
Because it was like 20,000 years ago or whatever. We were just kind of like, you know, some new chieftain is just like, the future will be unburdened by the past. People are like, wow, you're using language. We just invented language, and you're using it real good.
Well, the video I saw of it on Instagram couldn't have possibly been a propaganda tool to just try to get me to vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah. No, I love that the calling. Okay. So they had like a lot of things to throw at Joe Biden, and that's what they were like all ready to do. And even I will admit, it's not like I'm like, oh, cool, like, yeah, fascists should be in control because that guy's old. But, you know, I don't agree with that, but I get it. Yeah. You know, and there's undecided voters who are stupid. You know, it's like wine moms in gated communities that don't really want things to change, but they're kind of like, oh, wait, they're taking away. What if I need an abortion? It's like they're kind of status quo-y, I guess. So you can kind of be like, yeah, they're a little undecided. You know, who's gonna make this? If I can keep drinking wine on the porch, who's gonna make that happen? Which I also agree with a little, but I kind of know who it is at this point. And like, so they got nothing is kind of what I'm getting at here. Like the right on this election thing, and their "you're a communist" rhetoric is their "I know you are, but what am I?" Yeah. Like, it's so like, well, then what is your policy? Are we going to be, because God damn it, I gotta say, like, don't get excited for politicians. Don't wear their t-shirts no matter what side you're on. That's stupid. But I gotta say that this is almost like an Obama level fucking campaign I'm starting to see here, where they're like, we're choosing freedom because they want to take, you know, they want to like make it illegal to be gay and like take away like your right to choose as a woman and get rid of unions so you're going to be poor and they're just like, well, yeah, but like, you're like, we're taking back like America and freedom and stuff away from that side who is just like, I'm proud to be an American. We're like, why? Because they're like, we're choosing freedom, and they're like, well, we're about freedom. It's like everything you want to do is just, it's like you want to restrict these people, you want to make this illegal, you want to take this away, you want to round these people up into camps. Like, who's free? It's like, well, companies to fuck you in the ass. It's like, yeah, isn't your own side bitching about inflation and gas price? Like, well, yeah, but when we let them do whatever they want, well, what if you become a billion? You know what? You just want communism. Like, they're fucking losing it at a party where their wife made a good point, and they're like, okay, Sheila, you know what? Everybody go home. Sheila, yeah, oh, I'm an asshole just because I punched that guy. Oh, he didn't deserve it. Oh, yeah. Do you like having a swimming pool? Do you like your life? Yeah, go to court. We'll find out. What are you going to do with a boat anyway? You don't know how to, you're going to take that from me and you can have the kids. Fuck the kids. Yeah, they heard me. Yeah, that's what they're doing right now. Yeah. That's what by the way, acting. I'm not a guy like that. But yeah, they're an abusive boomer husband in a movie about how his porn company's going out of business. And there's like helicopters flying around because they were laundering money for coke dealers on the side and shit. And like, that's where they're at. They're in the fucking last 20 minutes of Goodfellas. Yeah.
Well, I think too is like,
I hope.
I think the other thing that's been weird that Trump has really just shoved in everyone's faces is like how bad the system got, in the sense that like, I mean, you know me, like I make no bones for him, but you know, it's like we've had all these different presidents even in our lifetime from both sides of the aisle. Oh, and yeah. Most of them have been turds, maybe to varying degrees or whatever, but it's like even like a George Bush or Bill Clinton wasn't like going on TV or like, you know, I know Twitter wasn't a thing, but you know, oh, you know, the cities are burning, so like, you know, let me just tweet out, you know, when the looting starts, the shooting starts, like shit like that, like the Rosie O'Donnell shit, like he just took it to such an absurd place. And the reason I think that that's been kind of weird, even for me to wrap my brain around sometimes, is that we've all had this kind of notion, I'm sure you have too, over the last, 15, 20 years, of just like, God, is this the best we can do every 4 years? Just like, that sort of, it's almost feels like a tired trope to say that, but like, we've all kind of felt it for a while. But now that there's this dude, it's like, now it's like when you look at like, well, fuck, what do I actually do now? Because usually it's just like the lesser of two evils, but like now it's like one guy's batshit crazy out of control, and it's like, I'm not saying the other side is as bad, but I don't love a lot of what's going on.
You're never going to love, though. That's the thing. The thing is you go for the lesser of two evils time and time again, and you vote in primaries, and you drag the Overton window out of the toilet, and you shut down people that are like, there's no difference. I'm like, really? Really, the Wolf of Wall Street or Jabba the actual Hutt? Like, is that? Yeah. It's like, well, I mean, shut the fuck up.
No, I'm not. And I'm not.
Like the guy that pushed a button and has a monster in the basement that eats you, or someone whose policies don't quite align with yours perfectly.
No, yeah.
Like,
I'm not trying to make a false equivalency. I'm sure a lot of people do, but
they do.
But the point being is that, like, I'm sure all of us could even look at some of the lesser of two evils we voted for and be like, God, we couldn't find anybody better than that.
Oh, yeah.
But now it's like, I feel like that's like, again, it's like that's more in everyone's face now, because it's like the one guy is like, actually is sort of like the, I don't know.
Just a syphilitic bonehead that's going to let the evangelicals just fucking, like, rub their dicks all over the Constitution. Like, yeah.
I had a bunch of, like, adjectives in my head, and syphilitic bonehead was exactly what was in my heart.
Yeah, I've kind of been snorting Adderall and drinking all day. Again,
but I wish it could be better from the others. And I know we all do. Like I said, it's a tired trope.
Like Teddy Roosevelt was a fucking Republican. It's like, yeah, could we have? That's fine.
Yeah, it's a tired.
So was Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, it's a tired trope. But the point being is, like, somebody like a John McCain or even a George Bush is like,
John McCain was like half reasonable, and I loved his temper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like, that's really like when they're like, the president is someone you can have a beer with. I'm like, yeah, I would drink a beer with John McCain while he screams about his ex-wife, and I get all wound up for no reason. Like, that sounds great. We'll get thrown out of Buffalo Wild Wings together.
He's just the kind of.
He was all right. Obama was just better. I'm like, dude, like, that guy, Obama was kind of a once in a lifetime, like, even if he is evil, at least he's just like the most well-spoken, slick. Yeah. Like, it's like, let's have
his anger
someone that doesn't embarrass us.
Drunk.
John McCain felt like a real red in the face, like 1955 drunk, angry, yelling politician. I'm like, I appreciate that about that guy. And if he was running against Hillary, I might even have voted for him. I don't know. Like, he was running against Barack Obama, who was just kind of like, could probably, like, I know that, like, nobody's great and all this horrible military industrial shit happens under his watch, but it's like Obama, you could stick on an improv stage and he would, like, if you had him debate Trump, like, you would see the poop in Trump's pants. Like, he would overload his diaper. Like, that guy. And also, like, if you pull the Fight Club thing of just, like, let's ignore all of this intelligence and policy. And it's just like, let's just have, like, who could Obama beat up? And it's like, probably not Lincoln, probably not Roosevelt. Vladimir Putin's kind of old. I mean, I know he was a fucking KGB goon and everything like that, but it's like Obama might have, like, some proper, like, form where he's just like whatever. It's like, I kind of feel like he could fight other world leaders and presidents and stuff, and like also like just sass talk them and shit. And I love a sass talking politician. I love a real. Because everyone's like, Trump's kind of funny. I'm like, it fucking is he? Like, it's funny that he exists. I mean, yeah, that's weird.
See, the thing with Trump is, and this is one of his problems, he would be so much funnier. And maybe even I'll go as far as to say so funny if he was a drunk. But he's not.
That's what he needs.
You know what I mean? Like,
Trump needs booze.
He doesn't drink at all, but it's like, but his weird, just shithead personality of, the little jabs that he'll take about people is like, that's the type of shit that when you're just drunk and you're roasting somebody, it can be super funny, but when you're actually sober and like, wait, you're fucking serious about, like, it's just not funny, you know what I mean?
Well, also, he's the guy who was the first guy to do a really good Borat impression. you know what I mean? In 2016, he came out and he was just kind of like, you know, my wife, she don't pull the plow. And it's like, it's from Borat. And now he's still, there's signs on his things like, it's crooked Kamala. It's like, yeah, we've heard that, man.
Yeah.
Like, what else?
No.
What else you got? And he's just kind of like, my sister's number 2 prostitute in all of Kazakhstan. It's like, that movie is 20 years old. Like, okay, what else you got? Something from Grandma's Boy? Like, just you're just quoting just stupid shit at this point, and it's not. It was like someone like Joe Rogan, who is fucking full of shit because he's like just rich enough where super rich guys kind of want to be his friend, and he can see what he's doing with like Elon Musk and everything. He wants Trump to like him and all this stuff, and I've lost it with that guy. But it's like when he was like, "Oh, Trump is funny," I'm like, okay, he's kind of. Tim Walz is funnier though. Tim Walz is actually a pretty funny guy, and the fact that he was like a sports coach at football or whatever.
Yeah.
Like his dressing downs and stuff of people are honestly like pretty hilarious, and like the only reason that it's like, well, he's like the vice president, he's there to like bolster Kamala, which I think he's doing like by the way a great job of. Yeah. Just be like, oh yeah, okay, so it's like we have this mixed race woman of color, but it's like she's not ancient.
Yeah.
So it's like you got nothing. She sucked dick to get famous. It's like, well, yeah, like I would.
That's
like,
what everybody does.
Yeah, it's like those of us who weren't born to Fred Trump and with like $500 million in a trust fund that we mostly wasted. Like, yeah, whatever. But then he's there to be like the fun substitute teacher, but also the football coach. Just kind of like yells at people. He knows what internet memes are. Like when he was just like, yeah, if JD Vance could get off the couch for a second. Dude, that's fucking so ridiculous. And it's like, and everybody, like, because Alexis was like, why did he say that? She's not on that part of the internet as much as I am. So I'm like, oh, everybody has decided that the weirdo that Trump picked for vice president fucks couches. That's just what everyone has decided. And she's like, well, okay, but just to be fair for like a second, like, why? Like, why is that real? Is that just them being mean? I'm like, all right, well, and I found a picture. I was like, it's this guy. And she's like, he might fuck a couch. So I'm just like, it's like you're like, oh, that's a low blow, and it's just kind of like as low as the couch goes. It's just, it sticks so good. It's like, well, it's crooked Kamala. It's like, get off the stage. Kill Tony. Your minute is over, dude.
As you're saying all of this, I actually think a lot of this could be solved if when we had the debates and the vice presidential debates, all people on the debate stage have to be legally drunk.
Yes.
They have to drink till they're at a 0.10 or higher. And then literally...
If you're wondering when America was great, it's when everyone in politics and at work and everything, when everyone was drunk.
Yep.
That's how they figured it out. NASA was full of like, we just kidnapped a bunch of Nazi scientists and everyone else was just fucking red in the face drunk by 11 o'clock in the morning. Like, we're going to the moon, you know.
Yeah, it would take 5 minutes for him to basically call Kamala a whore or a slut or something. She'd be drunk and then just, get mad about that, well... You're just mad that I actually wouldn't sleep with you, and then Tim Walz would be talking shit somewhere, and JD Vance would be doing.
I might have fucked. He'd be like, why doesn't anybody like me? Like he'd be like drunk like a girl who's like having a breakdown. Like Tim Walz would be like kind of fun uncle drunk until he's at that like fourth old fashioned or whatever, where he's just like Trump's just kind of like you were in what? You were in the army for like 20 years, like whatever. He'd be like, well, you quit, you fucking lied about some medical shit. He'd be like, I just want to see like Trump mouth, like Tim Walz, like he's red all the way up to his balding, whatever, and he's just kind of like, you know what? Just kind of grabs his shirt and bam, just like once, like, hey, okay, and everybody's like, I'm sorry, I didn't. Hey, Donnie, are you okay? I'm sorry. Paul's like, this is over. Everyone's going home. Oh, the cop's gonna tell us what to do. It's like, you suck off the cops, whoever said that over here. What the hell are they gonna say about that's just the amazing thing too, because it's like we'll be like, Kamala Harris, she put a lot of black people in jail. Yeah, no, that's bad. Like, how the fuck are you gonna be like, oh, she's a fucking Fed, she fucking arrests criminals, like, woo, like, no. I mean, we don't. I mean, fuck. Like, yeah, it would just be so much better if they were drunk. So at least what might get made up
would
maybe be better.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, Trump will make stuff up sober.
Yeah, like if he was, if Trump was a drunkard, if Trump was a drunkard,
yeah,
I'd be like, well, okay, he's rambling. By the way, when I sent you that the podcast makes the transcripts of what I know that my cadence and diction is different, but when you write it down, it looks like when you write down what Trump is saying. And I was like, the people in the Olympics, they don't. They don't. There's no money. So what happened is that she couldn't break dance. And the thing, and I'm like, dude, just reading my fucking rambling, I'm like, I've been a little too hard on Donnie, I think. The transcript just has that, like, interrupting yourself mid-sentence. But that's the thing, like, I've been crushing up and snorting Adderall and drinking gin for 3 hours.
Yeah.
What's his excuse?
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying, is like, his jokes are the type of thing that a sober person would come up with.
Yeah, it just doesn't have that sort of like I'm going for it feeling that alcoholism sort of bestows upon you. Like,
yeah, I do think out of the four of them, Tim Waltz he'd be the guy to beat, because I do feel like a few drinks in him, and he's so cerebral that it's like, when somebody gets that special kind of drunk, where it's like you see the twinkle in their eye.
Oh yeah,
it just it's like, I don't care what it is, but this is about to be an argument, and I'm going to win. Mm-hmm. And he seems like he maybe would be that guy.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Well, no, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, again, and I 100% agree with you that, like, we need to go back to, like, everyone in politics being drunk. We work somewhere where the policy is kind of like, I don't know if you can do your job. It's like, I don't care if you have like a couple of beers. Just like, I don't want to notice you like being, But it's like it's that we have like borderline madmen rules, except for like if you harass somebody, you're out, which is good. I don't want to be in that environment. I'm glad. Our boss's douchebag filter is actually legendary, and he's very good at me. We don't have JD Vance would never work where we work. Like, it's so great. Kyle Rittenhouse, none of those people. Like, it just, we do not have that, and it's because of that filter. But then, if you smoke weed, you can smoke weed. It's like, we're at an event, I'm going around taking video and shit, I'm having a couple of beers. Like, he's just like, you get some good footage? I'm like, It's like, no one cares. It's so wonderful. And I wish everyone, it scares me to someday, perhaps because of the way careers and work to move on. It's like, oh man. We're probably not going to have that really in too many other places. It's so glorious, but what we really should have, it should be everywhere. It should be in politics. Maybe not in NASA, that things explode. Probably sober for that, but anything that's not literally rocket science, you could be a little drunk for.
I can't imagine the rocket scientists that went to the moon weren't drunk.
Well, I'm certain they were. I'll throw this out there. If someone were to go, maybe the people trying to land us on Mars should be sober, I might be like, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Like, I might go like, maybe you're missing out on something.
Yeah.
There's probably a guy out there that's just like Stephen Hawking, but he's like, there's nothing wrong with him. He's just so wasted. He's using the computer to just be like, if you're looking for trouble, buddy, you found it. And, but is getting us to Mars, or whatever. It's like, yeah, there's that savantism that I think runs probably in both of us, to be honest. You and I, we're probably a teeny bit spectrum-y in our own ways. Like, neither of us became used car salesmen because, no, we swung for the fences, and also it's like the music thing. Like, you have an amazing other set of talents. Like, I have like other things I know how to do, and it's just like your average person is just like, made 5 sales today. Yeah. Gonna go have a kid. I don't know. Like, it's just like, we're weirdos. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I feel like as far as the weirdos that are, presented to us as, being in charge or whatever, it's like they should be allowed to drink. They should be allowed to punch each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what's that thing where they're the old president's rap? It's like a play. Why am I forgetting it? Everyone loves it so much.
Oh, Hamilton?
Yeah, Hamilton.
Yeah.
It's like they used to have duels. And they were like, they were just drinking fucking moonshine and just being like, all right, get slapped with a glove. And they're just going to be like, all right, we're just like doing this Fight Club style. Like they just go and just, and then they're just friends later. They're like, hey man, I'm sorry about the black eye. Like we used to work things out.
That probably happened at least up until Reagan.
Oh yeah.
You know
I mean, the 70s.
Yeah. Where they were just getting drunk and just trying to figure it out basically. You know.
Well, even to this day, like they do kind of sort of reference like 3 martini lunches and things like that. And like,
is it just the key to making Minnesota bigger is making Minnesota drunker?
I mean, okay. If we're gonna look at the other states as people, and there is a vast kind of, I don't know, misrepresentation of like, you know, when you look at somewhere like Texas, you're like, oh, they're tough. Like someone made a meme once where it was like, you know, Minnesotans in the winter, and it was just like the Jason Momoa from Game of Thrones wearing like a wolf parka in a snowstorm, but it's just like, oh, here's Texas, and it was that yodeling 12-year-old kid just being like, ooh, with a cowboy hat on. And it's like, because like our electric bills were higher this year because we're like paying for their electrical grid, which is a real thing, by the way, that's happening, and. Theirs is non. What the fuck is it? It's like it's all libertarian-y. You know, it's like it's non-subsidized or non-over, whatever. So it's like there's no oversight on it.
Deregulated.
It's deregulated. That is yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And so it like falls apart all the time, and then we graciously are like, I guess, helping them. Although no one asked me. Like again, I'm someone that would be like, I would love a voter initiative on every last thing that happens. I know it would be a big pain in the ass, but it's like, you know, that's my fucking money. It's just like sometimes I let it get a little hot in here because I'm saving money, but it doesn't matter because I still have to pay like $80 extra a month for fucking Texas. You know, just so they don't become a third world country, which is what they're like trying to do, and we're just helping them not do it against their will. Yeah, that's the thing. This is the heart of make Minnesota big, honestly. And
Florida's almost doing it by accident at this point.
Yes. Look, Minnesota can be the amoeba that absorbs it's just like, oh, you guys deregulated everything. You guys just like stop caring about this. You fucked that up, whatever. And it's like, okay, well, we have our shit together, so we're just annexing you. And it's just like, whoa, what? And it's just like, well, you want us to pay for this, right? Well, now you're going to be part of Minnesota, okay? Yeah. That's the deal. And we will make sure everything is okay. And they're like, well, but we want guns. It's like, we're allowed to have guns here. I live here. I have so many guns. It's ridiculous. And they're like, well, but what about this? It's like, yeah, no, sorry. You can't just go beat up gay people and, you know, people are going to be allowed to have abortions and shit. So, like, yeah, you're part of Minnesota, but you know what? Your power grid's going to work. So what's it going to fucking be, Texas? Like, well, we could secede. It's like, you won't get Social Security or Medicare anymore. It's like, all right, you're the boss. I'm like, that's right, we are.
Yeah.
Your kids are gonna eat school lunch, and you're gonna eat my ass, Texas.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and make no mistake, we're coming for Mexico too. It's just, you know, because if Texas were to secede, like the cartels would basically now own Texas. Like it would happen like that.
Yeah.
All that tough talk, like we're getting out of the union. It's like, well, all that Minnesota power grid money's going away. All that federal money's going away. All of the people at the border, all the money that, you know, the walls there and the whatever the military level is like, no, you're on your own. Your racist grandma is not going to be able to stop the cartels from going. The cartels have a fucking space program, all right? Like, you realize the amount of money they make out of killing us with fentanyl is allowing them to go to the moon? And you're just going to be like, we have AR-15s. It's like, they probably have stuff that was reverse engineered from UFOs at this point. Like, you are fucked.
Yep.
Like, the only thing stopping them from taking Texas is the fact that America is the world's Freddy Krueger. It's like it's like oh, the cartel, you know, the cartels have all this money, they have all this stuff and whatever, and it's just like, yeah, like America will actually nuke parts of Mexico. It's like, you guys just, you know, but that's it. That's the only thing stopping them. As soon as Texas leaves, Like, well, whatever. And so the only reason I talk about the goofy fantasy of Texas secession is because of the Minnesota envelopment that I want to see and I am behind and is, I believe, once our great...
I think Tim Walz could just bring all of these states in like they're his foster children.
Because that's what everyone needs.
Yeah.
Because Tim Walz is the dad you used to have before Fox News poisoned his brain. Like, you remember your dad? Remember your grandpa before he was like, fucking immigrants? Like, and he just like took pictures of you and pushed you on a swing and made silly jokes and his white hair's a little messed up. And you're just like, Grandpa, is it okay that I'm gay? And he's like, I'll buy you tampons, son. And you're like, you're not just gonna like turn the TV all the way up while Tucker Carlson's talking, so you ruined Christmas. Like, why would I do that? We're gonna go throw the football around. Like, Daddy, I missed you. Like, that's how we're gonna do it. We're gonna take America by its fucking daddy issues.
Yeah. Well, that's like we were talking earlier off camera too. Just Tim Walz wanted to put tampons in high school bathrooms. So he must be a Marxist. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, making fun of him for doing that is such a fucking blunder. It's already gone away. No one cares.
The other thing that blows me away that they're getting after Tim Walz from is retiring from the military before he got deployed. And I was like, literally, so what you're saying is that he's, first off,
he is
very
older.
Smart, number one. And then number two is like, if you were in the Marines or the Navy SEALs or something and you're finally going to get deployed and you like retired or something after like 4 years, whatever. He served the National Guard for 20 fucking years. Might have been 24 years, whatever the hell it was.
He's older. By the time he did that, he's older than I am right now, and I'm a few weeks away from turning 44.
Yes. Yeah.
What are you going to do? And it's like, fine. He could fucking like... Zoom conference is fucking like what is he gonna like run around with a machine gun?
Well, and also a ton of
48 years old.
A ton of people that join the National Guard do it just to like help their community, protect. I guess it is maybe.
Yeah, they're guarding the nation.
The nation. Yeah, and
not just protecting Lockheed Martin's fucking income streams over and like, all right.
And that's why I'm like, put yourself in his. If I literally was in the National Guard for 24 fucking years and I'm like helping my community and doing all this stuff to like make the situation around me for people better.
Well, I think like an opportunity for him to run for whatever it was came up or something where it was like, hey, you'd be good at, and it's like, okay, well, like maybe I'll go do that.
But even then, if I'm just signing up to help my community and I did that for 24 years and then after 24 years I'm like mid 40s, like my hair's falling out, it's like, wait, you want to send me to Iraq for what?
Yeah, I mean,
what?
What are we doing? It's like, weren't we attacked by a bunch of like Saudis and Egyptians and like fucking these weird terrorist cells? Like, I mean, let's just pretend that it wasn't just like, because apparently what really happened too is he was like already beginning the process before that any of that started of like, all right, I'm winding down, I'm old, I'm gonna go run for office, I'm gonna blah blah blah, and they're like, but let's just pretend for a second that you dipshits are right. And he's just like, oh no, the Iraq War. And it's like, was the Iraq War smart? You know what I mean? They found no weapons of mass destruction. They were like looking for like oil and poppy fields and whatever. It was just a way to line Halliburton and Lockheed Martin's pockets. All of your fucking weird friends that smoke too much goddamn like sativa weed are all paranoid and insane, and they're fucking like free, what is that, like libertarian sovereign citizens and stuff because they breathed in all this gas over there. It's like, yo, like, was that good? Should that have happened? Did you enjoy going over to Iraq and having your fucking girlfriend or whatever that you were engaged to at 20 sleep with me and drive around in the car you were paying for? No! All of that was bad! Like if you could have paid for college without, like, missing a limb, you probably would have taken that opportunity. Like, I'm just devil's advocate. Let's just say evil is on the table. If Tim Walz was just kind of like, wait a minute, I don't want my wife to fuck John in the Blue Felix bus. I don't want to fucking like get nerve damage from all this shit. Yeah, let's say he did that. Well, good for him. Yeah. That's a good idea. But also, none of that happened. Yeah. No, he was just like, all right, I'm old. I think I can help where I live more. Because again, it's the National Guard. It's like, I'm in this. It's like, they don't often get deployed to anything. It's like, yeah, we're like, it's the thing we almost don't even need. Because we're always going over to some other country and being like, why are you protecting my freedom in fucking Iraq? How did we leave? How did it wind up over there?
Yeah.
How did my freedom get in Iraq?
Yeah. I wish sometimes that I was just a little bit dumber so that I could justify being a libertarian, and it would be so fucking, just life would be so easy.
Wouldn't that be fun to
Wouldn't it just be
not understand how a society of this size functions
That's what I
at
was
all?
just gonna say. I wish I was just a little bit stupider, so I just didn't understand how fucking.
It'd be like, you know what I don't like? I don't like all these other people in my business and paying for all these things and taxes. Like, oh, excuse me, I'm gonna drive my car on this road to a store to buy guns. like if you're a libertarian, you should just get picked up in a helicopter and dumped like naked and afraid. Be like, you know what? We're gonna do you a favor. Here's some lead and some stuff. Like, you can make bullets like right now. It's like, what? That's a dumb equivalency because, see, like, we have a contract, you know, it's like people for money, you know, they produce guns and then I can pay for them and whatever. It's like, okay, the infrastructure to allow someone to not have to subsistence farm, it takes away the thing you want to have happen.
Yeah.
It makes it go away. It's like, you can't be totally self-reliant and expect a bunch of experts with machinery to build you AR-15s. And by the way, why am I hung up on this? Yeah, I have a lot of guns. You idiots love God. Like, really? You're going to use whatever it is that David hit Goliath in the dick with? Like, that's how you're going to whatever? Knowing full well, it's like, well, but if everybody had to abide by those rules, no one would have guns, so I wouldn't need guns. We could use slingshots. Oh, so you want a system in place to force everyone to abide by certain rules? Well, that goes against the libertarian code.
Yep.
Yes, we all enjoyed fourth grade.
Yep.
Well, I didn't actually.
One of my other favorite things about them too, which I know it just drives you fucking batshit crazy, is the like idea that like if you don't hoard gold, you're just what are you gonna do? You know what I mean?
You know, like there's a reason. Okay, buying gold is fine, but oh my god. Buying gold as a hedge against the fall of society
it doesn't sound like it's fine, John.
Listen to me. Gold is worth stuff because us as a society have decided it's worth something. Like, it's not valuable at all. The only thing, if you're like, well, you know, when the fucking grid goes down, yeah, have some daughters. Because, like, human slaves, food, water, and bullets are all that's going to be worth anything. Like, oh, a shiny rock. Can I use it to crack someone's skull open and take that lizard they're eating away from them so I can eat it? Like, that's that idea that, but okay.
That is
so
true.
like,
people are going to be worth so much more.
Oh my God. Look at everywhere that sucks. Like, human trafficking is just the first thing that happens as soon as, like, even in, like, I know this is a whole sidetrack, but people are like, you know, those homeless encampments aren't hurting anybody. It's like, dude, I was at a meeting with our, it wasn't just me, like I'm important. It was like, it was a bit of a speaking thing. But our Ward 4 city council person, Latricia Vita, who I absolutely adore, and I voted for twice, and who exists as a result of ranked choice voting because we had a weird Republican and a fucking nose ring left-leaning person that's like, I don't know if we should, I don't like guns, but that's part of some people's culture if they're shooting through your front window. And she was like, I'm gonna be like a reasonable black lady that yells at dumbasses, and everyone was like, yep. And she fucking won. And then she's obviously left of the spectrum or whatever. Anyway, she was talking about like, yeah, there's some like, where we are right here, everything is pretty fucking gravy, but there's parts of north that are more south that have, you know, fentanyl encampments or whatever. And she was talking about, like, there was people being like, well, is there a more humane way? And she's like, okay, two things. We found enough fentanyl in this one thing, and it was like the size of like a business's parking lot. It wasn't even that big, to kill everyone in Hennepin County. And it turns out they were doing a shitload of human trafficking. And I don't know if you want to try to justify human trafficking being okay, because in your mind it's like this like a hot 45-year-old MILF that's just like a little bit okay with this new kink of being put in a box and shipped somewhere to get like DP'd by fucking weirdos or whatever. No, everyone was like 9. Like that's what was happening. And these just people like get the fuck out of here. Like, and so that's sort of like my. There was and I know that I'm always pushing you to watch Always Sunny.
Yeah.
There's an episode of Always Sunny that sums this up so well, and they were like, in our bar, there's going to be just complete freedom. There's going to be no rules at all anymore. And for like 10 minutes, there was white chicks with their boobs out. Okay, an hour later, there was guys. Like Asian guys playing Russian roulette in the basement. There was no chicks because they were terrified. See, hot chicks don't go to places that are scary, okay? I know you think you're Andrew Tate and you're going to protect them, but no. Like, they're like, if you're just like, oh, there's no rules here, the hot chicks are the first thing that disappears. Like, because they know when there's no rules, they're just going to get fucking like tied up and sold. Like, that's it. Like, that's what that type of freedom is. You're like, oh yeah, like Jimmy's gonna bet his glass eye in this poker game that we're playing. Some gambling's illegal. We can do it or whatever. And it's just like a bunch of guys that just a bunch of basement ninjas with like glass eyes and just like playing Russian roulette or whatever. And it's like, do you think that's gonna be like Mardi Gras? No, that's the thing. I get if I want to sum up, but yeah. So it's like in the Always Sunny. It's like it just turned into this like smoky den of just fucking ugly guys with scars and crime. Like, and I have never seen a more perfect argument against libertarianism, where it's just kind of like everything was falling apart, everyone was just hurting each other. It's like immediately, it's like society protects you, and I've bitched about this before. Like the right has that fantasy about using all their guns to have some sort of civil war, and it's like you're not going to be able to get your fucking obesity medication. Like, you're going to die. Yeah. Like, that's not going to work. And, yes, the weird leftists who are like, don't vote. What we should do is burn down Walmart. And it's like, do you have any guns? It's like, well, I don't really believe in guns. Okay, I'm done listening to you then. What, are you going to have a revolution with a bloodless coup where you just smother people with pillows? Like, I don't think, you really have it in you to do stuff like that. So let's just vote for the lesser of two evils over and over and over and over and over and over again until that choice gets good.
So what I'm gathering is that you don't think that all of the problems you just described would be solved by you hoarding some gold.
No. Oh, right. I'm sorry. This is what I wanted to say about gold. No. I don't have any like gold here. But see, that's the thing, because people are like, oh, buying stocks in it isn't. You got to have it. And I'm like, no. Gold is a commodity that always exists for whatever reason and is always worth something.
It's a mineral.
Yes, and so here's what you do with stuff like that. Inflation happens, right? Money, everything gets more expensive. Well, the thing is that rather than having your money in a bank, if you have it in real estate or gold, you own that, and it's getting more expensive, but you own that. So like later in your life, you can sell it for like if you had 100, like if someone was like, in the Mad Men era of 1961, left me like $10,000 in cash in a safe. Oh, I mean, I'd love to have it, by the way. But to them, that was like 150 grand or something like that. You could buy a house with that almost. And I'm like, no, now you can't. But if they had bought a house and left it, or a brick of gold and left it, it'd be like, well, that $10,000 chunk of gold is now worth $150,000. The cash would still be $10,000. That is the only thing. That's it. Here's a little bit of economic advice for you, everybody that isn't just living in a car that watches this. Like, yeah, if you buy things that get more expensive that you don't think will go out of style, it's like buying like a caller ID from 1991. Yeah, that's no longer worth anything. But yeah, minerals, whatever. Stuff that's been proven for like thousands of years will always, but sure. But all it is a hedge against inflation. It's a hedge against like, if you put money in like a high interest rate thing, you're still not getting dividends to the point that you would if you just owned stuff that everyone will always want. Yeah. Land. Gold's not even as good of an idea as land, honestly. Yeah. Land is it. But that's the thing. Grifters are always pushing gold because here's what these guys do, by the way. Like, who is this that was pushing gold? Just so I have the name.
Or what are you talking about? I'm just talking libertarians in
Oh,
general.
libertarian, but wasn't there like a guy that, or I might be drunk.
I mean, I don't know if Ron Paul was pushing that hard in his day, but
Who's pushing gold? We have to know who's pushing. Somebody's pushing gold.
I don't know who's
Fox
pushing
News
gold.
is always pushing gold. Are they
Yeah.
doing that? Or One America's always doing that. I actually get someone who didn't believe that they were brainwashed by weird media and stuff was like telling me a bunch of stuff where I kind of recognized where it came from, and I was like, "Where did you hear that?" It's like, "Well, not the mainstream media," and I'm like, "All right."
There's the one guy that's I can't remember his name, but he's been on Joe Rogan a couple times, and he's kind of just some turd guy.
Oh wait, is it Peter Schiff?
Yes.
Yeah.
And what I love about him is he's also just like, there should be no minimum wage. Like, if somebody's willing to do the job for $1, you should just like pay him $1. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would kind of create a weird bubble that would definitely backfire like horribly eventually. Like, but right, yeah, let's take like Peter Schiff or whatever. It's just like gold is like a hedge against not against inflation, but the apocalypse. The reason that guy does that, and oh yeah, right. And I was gonna say that like, so this person, I was like, why should we be buying gold? And she was like, what? I'm like, well, we should buy gold, right? She's like, well, yeah. Well, why? And she's like, well, because of blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, all that stuff that you said to me earlier, One American Network, that's what you were watching. She's like, well, yeah, but how did you know? Because the people that run that, it's like, dude, knowing stuff is so fun to terrorize people with. Just like, yeah. Because here's the thing, like, they're like, they want you to buy gold, but real gold, like chunks of gold, not gold ETFs and commodities and things like I own, because they own all that shit. They own all that shit. And if they can artificially inflate the price of what they have by your dumbass going out and just buying chunks of gold, like your fucking Schmiegel from the thing, ooh, it'll be precious. They're like, oh, look at all the demand for gold. So the stock prices go up, and they're like, everybody, and so they're basically manipulating the stock market, which, no hate, if I could figure out a way to do, yeah, like absolutely. But they're like, oh, gold's going to be worth something in the apocalypse, and it's going to happen because the Democrats are going to turn everything into Chairman Mao, and they're like, oh God. So they go to Costco and buy gold and stuff. Like, we bought all the gold, and it's like, oh, we're running out of gold. The price went way up, and they own all these like stocks. Like, oh yeah, the apocalypse is coming anytime now. And they just buy a yacht. And they're all right. Like, well, there was that giant spike. You sell high, and then when it drops again after everybody realizes it doesn't matter, we'll buy a bunch of it back. That's the way the game's played. But you're part of that game with all that gold talk. Like, if that's... And that's why guys like Peter Schiff are doing that, because he's just, like, invested in fucking gold stock market commodities or whatever. And, like, if the price goes... It'd be like if I found a penny stock of some just random crap that no one, like Beanie Babies or something. Yeah. And then I had, like, a giant news network, just whatever, that was, like, aligned with all my shit. I could go on and be like, Beanie Babies are back. They're back. Beanie Babies are back, baby. They're going to skyrocket, blah, 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 blah. And it's like I owned a chunk of the company. People are like, well, where are we? We got to get... Well, they start producing new ones again. The stock's going up, So I just made that happen. And you're like, well, Beanie Babies are going to be worth so much because, see, when Kamala Harris was president, they're going to take the Beanie Babies away and all the money because I've got all the Beanie Babies and whatever. And so I created scarcity and demand for Beanie Babies because I bought like 90% of the company when it was worth 50 cents and just used it. I mean, yeah, and great. Go ahead and do that. I love that. I want to be one of those guys eventually. I don't want... Look, a friend of ours once tried counterfeiting money and it backfired. So it's like, you can't print your own money. You're not supposed to steal money. You just have to work for money like an idiot every day, unless you do something like what I'm describing, where you're just kind of like, oh, I created artificial scarcity and demand in this thing I have a controlling interest in because it was worthless before I started doing that by convincing you all that the devil's going to fuck you in the ass if you don't vote for a reality show host. Like, and now all of a sudden I'm a billionaire without actually doing anything. Yeah. Or creating anything or helping anybody or moving anything along at all. You can just do that. But all I'm saying is, when you're the mark, when you're the guy the carny is fooling, don't take the argument he handed you to turn you into like a fucking Matrix battery for all of his billions and throw it in my face like you're smart. Just stop, okay? Like, I can't anymore. And that's why I like Tim Waltz, because I feel like after a few, he would say something a little bit like that, maybe nicer.
Yeah.
But
I hope they build a statue of him one day like Karl Marx. I
just hope... Yeah, no. I hope that this is an evil Bond villain plot. Like, because for me it is, but I don't have any real power. Like, I can't really do this. All I can do is like Deadpool and Deadpool versus Wolverine is I can make an educated wish. And I by the way, have you seen that?
Yeah, I did.
It's good. Just remember when he's like, this at the end of the podcast, but he's just like, wait a minute, you hope they can help me? You don't know? And he's like, I didn't lie. I made an educated wish. And that's the thing. Back when I was saying that Ventura and Waltz should run for like, I think it was like the 2020. I'm like, man, that would be awesome. You know, like, yeah, Joe Biden, we all recognize him, but like,
crush it, those
dude,
two.
Just fucking, you would have the perfect two-headed monster of Waltz being this reasonable, likable dad, and Jesse Ventura talking, just yelling, just like Abraham Lincoln, or no, Benjamin Franklin bald, just screaming at people about how they're making like human and chimpanzee crossbreeds or whatever to use in the military. So it's like, they could be like, okay, well, Mr. Waltz, what do you think? He's like, I have this very reasonable answer, and I'm going to be kind of silly. It's like, okay, well, all right, well, as Republicans, how about we throw some crazy shit at you, Jesse Ventura? Just kind of like, oh yeah, we'll like wait till everyone gets turned into a chimpanzee. And it was like, okay, well, this is an impenetrable wall right here. Like, I don't know what to do. But anyway, like, that's what I wanted. You know, but that doesn't work like that. We have both people from the same state. It wouldn't really work. But what I did 4 years ago or whatever it was, I was like, dude, Tim Waltz would be just the perfect ersatz sort of kryptonite to the whole like Trump thing or whatever. I made an educated wish, and Sugar Bear, it's coming true.
The Reverend John Wheeler podcast takes zero responsibility for the words, actions, or ideas of its host, guests, or listeners. Though the people on the screen may at times be speaking directly to you and may occasionally give you direct calls to action, neither Reverend John nor the Alchemical Cocktail Lounge are under any moral or legal obligation to answer for the potentially disastrous repercussions that may arise if you are stupid enough to actually follow the orders of a raving lunatic. Think for yourself and do whatever you want, because you're on your own. If anyone ever tries to sue this podcast, black SUVs will converge on your location in the darkness of night and you will never be seen again. Remember to like and subscribe.